Russia has changed the direction of its attacks in Ukraine, shifting its focus from energy infrastructure to transportation systems, including highways and railways. These routes are vital for civilian movement and military logistics, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said on Monday. Although a temporary agreement to halt attacks on energy facilities reportedly reached last week between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin has largely been upheld, Russian forces are now targeting workers, civilians, and key logistics routes, according to officials and experts. On Sunday, Russian drones carried out a so-called double-tap attack on a bus transporting coal miners in southeastern Ukraine. At least 12 people were killed as they were returning home from work, Ukrainian authorities said. Double-tap strikes typically occur near the front line, but are now reaching deeper into Ukrainian territory. In such attacks, the initial strike is followed by a second one, targeting first responders and survivors emerging from the wreckage. Strikes against civilians are considered war crimes under international law. Nearly 4 years have passed since Russia launched its full-scale invasion. Throughout this period, Ukraine's east-west railways and major highways have served as lifelines for civilians and military personnel alike. Keeping trains running on time has become not only a necessity, but also a source of national pride. However, as Russian drone technology has advanced, allowing drones to fly farther and faster, carry larger explosive payloads, and more frequently evade electronic warfare systems, and as the front line has shifted westward, these critical transport routes are increasingly being targeted. On Friday, Ukrainian Prime Minister Yulia Svyrydenko shared a video showing a railway carriage engulfed in flames following a Russian attack. This is deliberate terror against people and civilian logistics, she said, adding that Russia carried out 7 drone strikes on railway facilities within just 24 hours. The attacks damaged electric passenger train cars, freight wagons, locomotives, railway tracks, power grids, as well as administrative and industrial buildings. All of this occurred amid dozens of drone strikes recorded last week by Ukrainian defense officials, targeting fuel trucks and buses carrying civilians, primarily in the Dnipro region. On Sunday, a bus transporting coal miners was struck outside the city of Dnipro. The victims were employees of DTEK, Ukraine's largest private energy company, confirmed the firm's chief executive, Maxim Timchenko. He described the strike as an unprovoked terrorist attack on a purely civilian target, adding that it marked the largest single loss of life among DTEK employees since Russia launched its full-scale invasion. At least 19 employees have been killed and 119 injured in Russian attacks while on duty during the war. According to Serhiy Bezkresnov, an advisor to Ukraine's defense minister, the bus was targeted by 2 Iranian-designed Russian attack drones. The pilot of the first drone saw a bus below and decided to strike it, he said. The drone hit near the bus. The driver lost control due to the blast wave and crashed into a fence. As wounded survivors stumbled out and began helping one another, he said, the second drone spotted the people and deliberately directed itself at civilians. Last month, waves of Russian missile and drone attacks knocked out electricity, heating, and water supplies across much of Kyiv, pushing the Ukrainian capital and its critical infrastructure to the brink of collapse at a time when temperatures plunged to minus 30 degrees Celsius. On Monday, Zelenskyy said Russian forces had largely refrained from attacking the country's battered energy facilities, following a request from U.S. President Donald Trump, and that there were no air raid sirens or strikes in Kyiv. However, he noted that some energy facilities in frontline and border areas had still been attacked. Instead, the Ukrainian president said, Russian forces are increasingly targeting new objectives, major highways and railway lines used by both civilians and the military. The apparent aim of the attacks is to force Ukraine into submission, weaken morale, and terrorize the population, as U.S.-led peace talks continue. The negotiations are scheduled to resume on Wednesday and Thursday in Abu Dhabi. As in previous days, the Russian army remains focused on terror against our logistics, Zelenskyy said.
Thank you for watching. With you we have covered 24 hours of news in the United States.